Hi, my name's Jessie Fuller and I will be talking about Satanism. A brief history, some common misconceptions, and the relevant satanic ritual acts that support these, how Satanism is communicated through creative means, and some final thoughts about this transgressive practice. As developed by Kant during the Enlightenment and central to the ideas of Plato, dualism underpins all religious and philosophical practices. Phenomenon versus noumenon, meaning the world of solidarity, earth and matter, of which satanic beliefs and practices fit into, versus the world of ideas, perfection, and spirit, of which Judeo-Christian beliefs fit. The creation of Satanism symbolized the annihilation of Judeo-Christian practices that they believed made humans weak and hypocritical. Nietzsche famously quoted that Christianity is a religion for slaves. Freud writes of how religion constructs our moral values and becomes ingrained into our psyche. Hence, a religion that rejects such a historically ingrained tradition would automatically be labelled as transgressive and immoral by the masses. Satanism began in the 1960s, a time of a new culture of deviance and liberation, and was founded by Anton LaVey, who was the head of the Church of Satan for 30 years. It's a religion that stems from atheism, encompassing beliefs of self-empowerment through our lived reality. A trained psychotherapist, Rickles, likened Satanism with the primitive, devilish part of humans that Freud would describe as the id. This can be seen through their worship of the 7 deadly sins, such as greed or lust, that are believed to be natural human functions that should be unleashed and not repressed. Many Satanists don't strive to campaign for their religion or reel members in. If you're naturally a born Satanist, they believe you'll find your way towards it. They almost speak of it with a sense of superiority that brings to mind Michel Foucault's concept of power knowledge. He believed discourses, institutions, or practices like Satanism were bound with power knowledge, a historical construct that isolates a group of people due to their chosen label. Within Satanism, this power knowledge works through a bureaucratic system, as individuals have to work their way up to higher positions in the Church of Satan. There are various explicit rituals within Satanism, including their version of a baptism that glorifies the child's life instead of cleansing them of sin, or their version of confession, a destruction ritual during which an individual can release pent-up hostilities towards their attacker as a means of directing one's anger. One controversial satanic ritual act occurred in the 1960s, a time described by Zena LaVey, Anton LaVey's daughter, as the last bastion of true order, during which the Manson murders, orchestrated by Charles Manson, involved the killing of numerous individuals, including actress Sharon Tate, near Hollywood, California. It stood amongst Satanists as a symbol of celebration of the times. This counter-revolutionary act interested underground newspapers as the Manson family began to emerge as a subculture. He has since been sentenced to prison but still continues to influence music and literature. When asked about these murders in an interview, Zena LaVey claimed they were not satanic acts because those murdered were sacrificed to a god, something that Satanists oppose strongly. During the 1980s, there was a daycare sexual abuse hysteria again associated with Satanism. The most expensive criminal trial in the history of the US was the McMartin preschool trial, in which Raymond Buckey supposedly abused and performed sexual and satanic acts on children. The mother who made the allegation was later diagnosed with alcoholism and schizophrenia, and after 5 years in jail, charges were dropped. In 1985, Frank Fuster, the owner of the Country Walk babysitting service, was found guilty of leading children into satanic rituals. He now has a 165-year prison sentence. The issue with many of the cases at the time were that the allegations often came from children, who are very prone to suggestibility and have significantly weaker memories than adults, meaning a lot of the cases weren't necessarily 100% true. One of the recent killings was of Michael Russell, In the Name of Satanism, by Jai Williams and Randy Thompson in 2009. The FBI have since looked into these ritual murders and found no organized groups doing organized killings. Many of these stories are believed to be formed by Christian evangelists during the Satanic Panic. I'd like to return to the Manson murders that kicked it all off and extract 2 symbols. One is the symbol of the swastika that he infamously wore on his forehead, and the other is his musical influence. When we looked at subcultures, Hebdige was mentioned in distinguishing between two major processes that subcultural style can be read through. One being bricolage, which means the reordering of existing objects to create a unique cultural expression. Satanists have various famous symbols, including the symbol of the Church of Satan, the swastika, that represents a symbol of black order in Germany or National Socialism. In an interview in 1988 with Boyd Rice, a famous musician and another priest of the Church of Satan, he mentioned that Adolf Hitler was one of the greatest heroes of our time because of his values. Like Hitler, Satanists strongly believe in natural order and eugenics, believing one is born a Satanist, and the non-believers of those from Judeo-Christian heritage will eventually die off as they are weak and unable to rule their own path. So Satanism is supposedly the order in the order versus chaos debate, and part of the way in which they restore this order is through their music. Satanic metal, a subgenre coined by English band Venom in 1982, and characterized by a fast tempo and screaming vocals, is one of the specific genres through which satanic and anti-Christian messages are spread, causing it to be rejected by mainstream culture. There's also a neo-Nazi group associated with this genre of music. Hopefully the connections between everything are slowly starting to make sense. Many satanic black metal artists use their music to convey messages that will unite the true believers, the concerts being a ritual of sorts. Satanists break down the world into vibrations. They play Tanisha, which is their dominant frequency that they believe can control the masses and unleash everyone's demonic potential, instead of being under the control of hypocrisy. The famous heavy metal band Black Sabbath was one of the first defining metal bands to convey these messages, featuring Ozzy Osbourne and an upside-down cross on one of their album covers. Some describe the music as being entertaining through extremity, and other bands continue to encourage the same message, including Judas Priest, Motorhead, and Iron Maiden. There exist many cases in which Satanists supposedly use cryptic messages within their songs as a form of mind control.
Better than you, better than me. You can say what I only can see.
Thank you. Is the exhalation of breath?
Yes.
Is that a normal part of your singing?
In 1980s, the band Judas Priest Rob Halford was taken to court in the US for their use of satanic messages that could be decoded when reversed or played backwards. The song Better by You, Better Than Me contained a subliminal message of do it, supposedly leading to the suicide of two young men, 20-year-old James Vance and 18-year-old Raymond Belknap. The case was dismissed when the judge ruled it a mix-up of background lyrics.
If there's a bustle in your hedgerow, don't be alone there. It's just a sprinkling for the bakery. Yes, there are two paths you can go by, but in the long run, there's still time to change the road you're on.
While Augustine's syllogism may reason that good does not exist if evil or satanic beliefs persist, Nietzsche, a famous philosopher of morality, would argue that we construct morality by becoming the Übermensch, or overman, one that lives their own life, which they have the power to bring good into. Today, Satanism is still seen as a transgressive religion, but is still followed by many, including celebrities like Marilyn Manson, James Mansfield, Liberace, Sammy Davis Jr., David Vincent, King Diamond, and many others that just choose not to publicly use the label.
I can't believe in those things that don't believe in me. Now it's your turn to see what I hate about me.